Welcome to the InStory show. I'm Devorah Spilman, your host, and our theme this season is what does it mean to expand into a new story? And how do you stop hiding your spiritual gifts and dare to be seen for who you really are by saying yes to your soul and telling your story? So today I'm thrilled to welcome InStory expert Kay Ford Johnsen. Hi, Kay.
Hi, Devorah. Good to see you.
So glad you're here. All right, I'm going to read a little about Kay and we will dive in. Kay is a meditation teacher on Insight Timer, a writer, group facilitator, and speaker. She has created journaling and self-care workshops, is a certified instructor of the Center for Journal Therapy's Journal to Self workshop, and is a member of the International Association for Journal Writing. She's studying for a ministerial degree from the International Metaphysical Ministries. And she's part of the InStory leadership team too, which we will dive into at some point. So I'm going to ask you what I ask everybody, which is, what does expanding into a new story mean to you?
Well, I expand when I feel like I've outgrown my comfort zone. It's become too small, and there is a need to grow within myself, and I feel a need to move out into the world more. And that's my main feeling about it. I just need more space. I need to expand, and that's the way it happens. And it begins internally, I believe. And when it's gotten started, then it goes out into the world.
I like that. I talk about that too, this feeling like life doesn't fit, like it's become like too small, like a size, like a shoe that's too small a size, kind of. And that feeling like this worldview doesn't fit anymore, kind of.
It's a matter of learning to trust myself
Yeah.
to expand. I need to learn to trust myself.
Right. That is just such an endlessly important topic, trust. And so, all right. So I really love to hear some of this turning point stories in everybody's life that kind of shift from one level of constriction into that more next expanded state. So I would love for you to tell us one of those stories in your life.
Well, I can tell you one that was very important to me. I've told it to others before, and it stays with me because it was such a deep experience for me. I had a lot of things going on in my life, as so many of us do. I was, my parents were aging. My mother had dementia. My father's health was failing, and my 2-year-old son at the time was really a handful, so I put it that way. So I was trying to sleep one night, and it was about 3 in the morning. I just couldn't sleep, and I had been journaling. I had journaled mostly just to get the ugly things out of myself and onto a page. But this particular night, I went downstairs to my kitchen and I started writing all my frustrations and all the things that were upsetting me and just how I couldn't figure out how I was going to handle any of it. And I just kept writing and writing. And as I wrote, I suddenly, I was asking a lot of questions. And as I wrote, I realized I started answering the question. Somehow, go, what am I going to do? What's going to happen with this? And then I found myself answering. And it was such an extreme shift to me. I actually turned around in my chair and said, "Who are you?" I realized I had tapped into a part of myself that I had been too frustrated and too frantic to see. I couldn't see her, and she was in there all the time listening. But I had to stop and give her time to answer. Actually, the first journaling workshop I developed was called The Voice of the Listener, based on that,
Mhm.
because I
Mhm.
realized she was in me all the time. And, I go back to frantic once in a while. We all do. But I know that those answers are in there. I just have to get into a space where I can see them, feel them.
No, I think that's so true because that place of quiet and you call it calm, and we're going to talk about that because you have such a beautiful perspective on sort of that whole process of going from what you call chaos to calm. And I want you to talk about that a little bit more because I think it's so true that unless we get into that more quiet place, we can't hear our inner voice or an outer voice, any kind of higher guidance. It's just so take us through a little bit of your perspective on what you call chaos to calm. Like, what do you mean by that? And talk a little bit about it, how you do it.
Yeah, there are so many people, and they're wonderful, wise people. I know I've referred to them as unicorns and myself as a giraffe. I think you've heard that reference before. But when things are chaotic, well, you just go into a meditative state. You relax, and there it is. That doesn't work for me all the time. It may on some occasions, but if I am too triggered, there was one morning where I had gotten an email saying there was a problem with the lease on our son's home, which we financed, and I was just, oh my gosh, what are we going to do? I can't have all those people move in with me. Because I have 3 grandkids and they have pets, and I love them all. But I was just so frustrated because it was Saturday morning. I sent an email back to them, but I was afraid I wouldn't hear anything until Monday. And I was just yelling at God and the angels and my guides and anybody else I might call. And I was just yelling at them. I was mad. What am I going to do back in that state? But I was so triggered. I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready.
You couldn't just go down calm and I'll listen to my
I
higher
know.
guidance.
Like, hey, that wonderful deep voice in me, talk to me now. I was yelling at God. I wasn't listening. I wasn't listening. So I actually just took a step at a time. I went out for a donut with my husband. I wanted to buy some fertilizer for my plants. And I took a walk around the lake that's near me. I did a lot of things like that. I do a lot of crocheting, it starts taking over the house. And there was so much, but I found an organization called the Linus Project where people donate handmade blankets for children who've undergone trauma or abuse. I thought, oh, I have this bright colored skein of yarn that I don't know why I bought it. And I went, this is it. So I did some crocheting, starting on a little blanket that I could donate. And I just did things like that. I think I made some simple little bracelets. All the Taylor Swift fans make them. I can too. I've got a lot of beads. And, by the time I went through all of that, I had just done things that were fun, that were relaxing and fun. By the time I did all of that, I was calm enough to listen. I could journal effectively. I could meditate because I had burned off that high level triggered feeling. And that's what we need to do sometimes. It's what I need to do sometimes.
You talked about it, the bridge. One of the times we talked the bridge from chaos to calm. And I think there's some things in what you did that are so significant. And a little bit of it is getting embodied, like instead of getting in minded, so to speak, you got embodied, like you walked around your lake, you ate something, you spent time with someone you love. And then you did another thing that I think often happens when something goes wrong that we don't think of is you thought of how can I give something?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
love that,
And
right?
all of that is the bridge.
Right. I love
All
that.
of that is the bridge.
So say a little bit more about what you realized about that, because I think this is such an important area that's often missed, is this bridge between chaos and calm.
Mhm. Yeah, the way I saw it, the next thing I discovered, and that was originally discovered in that first journaling experience. But what this bridge helped me do was get to what I call my soul space,
Mhm.
because that is the place where you are calm.
Mhm.
and you can receive guidance in whatever way you see it. I know when I was journaling, some people would actually call it, I don't know, automatic writing that comes from something outside of yourself.
Right, right.
And certainly may. Or I was at that time, at least, especially thinking of it as something that came from within myself.
Mm-hmm.
Or it's from the divine,
Right.
from God,
Right.
wherever it
All of
comes
these things, right?
from. And we can have so many names for maybe what ultimately is the same thing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that is what the bridge is for. And it gets you to the place where you can hear.
Right. It's
You can be
so good.
quiet.
It's so good because the thing is, what I love about this description of the bridge that you do, it's such normal life things, like sweet, small, sweet, small things that just reminded you that I'm still okay, even though this hard thing is happening.
Yeah. Well, I know my neighbor, she loves to go get a pedicure because there's this place where she can get a pedicure and they give her a glass of wine and she relaxes and they pamper her. And there, hey, that's a great one. I've never gotten that pedicure, but I may have to give it a whirl.
Well, some of us need the walk in nature before we need more than we need the pedicure.
Oh
But
yeah.
it doesn't matter what the thing is, as long as it's a thing that you love,
Mm-hmm. Yes.
right? Like
Mm-hmm.
some small thing that you love. And so I want you to talk a little bit more about like as you hit chaos, but you also start to expand your consciousness. Like you have some stories of just the way the universe is giving you this message about how to go from chaos to calm.
Oh yes. Yes. And and I was thinking of one time when there happened to be a motocross race on TV. I don't follow that. But there was this one kid, and they talked a lot about him being the youngest. He was incredibly young to be out there competing because they're flying through the air. I mean, it's scary stuff. And all the pit crews were holding up signs, I don't know, you're burning oil, whatever was going on that the pit crews wanted to let them know. And when this boy was going past his pit crew, they held up this big sign that just said, breathe. So they were telling him to get calm. They were telling him to get calm. I look at puppies and kittens and toddlers running around at this incredible pace, as they all do. But what they do is they know when they're tired. They just collapse. It's nap time, and they are not stressed out. They're not stressing about anything that happened or is going to happen. They cross that bridge very easily. So,
But I think that's such a good indication. If you look around, as you start to shift out of that really overly triggered place, you start to see the messages coming to you, right? Don't you feel that?
oh, absolutely. Absolutely. You see them. And I have experienced 3 steps, and I hadn't really put them together until very recently. Because the first one I discovered really was discovering that soul space
Mhm.
and having that place for myself. And maybe from that space, I discovered the other 2. But I see the first step is from chaos to calm. That's when you need the help the most, when you are up there. And once you've taken that, crossed that bridge from chaos to calm, then you can get into that soul space.
Yeah. So take
All
us
these
a couple other examples of how this works, that you see it in your life and with others. Like, give us a few more little teachings, examples of this.
Sure. I have a good friend who thinks people have become very rude. Well, and she loves to point out when she experiences that. See this? And part of that is the overwhelm that people are experiencing, I'm sure. But we each have a way of viewing the world. We each have our own worldview.
Mm-hmm.
And it affects the way we perceive the world. And sometimes we don't see the other things. What a quote I found, because I have this in here. Is how we see the world is the ultimate source of everything that happens to us. It shapes how we think, which shapes how we act, which ultimately shapes the quality of our results and our relationships. You go into things with an expectation.
Mm-hmm.
And when I am in the soul space, I can see from a different point of view than I would otherwise. And the third thing I've talked about that comes from the soul space is the ability to look through wisdom's window at the world. You can take that wisdom you found in the soul space, and when you look out at the world, you can use it to see it. And I think it actually changes what happens sometimes. It is, if you have an expectation of rudeness or people being unkind, it affects the way you act.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a really good time a couple of weeks ago when I went to Costco. My friend particularly mentioned people being rude in Costco. I haven't really experienced that. But I had found this pair of boots that I really wanted to buy. And I tried them and they were really comfortable. Well, I need to find my size. And if you're at all familiar with Costco, they had these stack of shoeboxes full of these boots, 5 feet tall and 5 feet wide. And I thought, well, I'll just find my size here and I'm ready to go. I went across every row very methodically. I finally reached the bottom row on the floor. And in the middle of that row was one pair of boots in my size. And I wanted those boots. They're only $19.98, and I love them. And I was sitting there kind of making a fool of myself, maybe trying to pull that box out without causing an avalanche, carrying the box because it was so heavy on top of it. I was just thinking about going to find an employee. And then there was this young couple walking by, and the guy went, "Could you use some help?"
Aww.
And he and his wife helped me kind of dig through and lift up and do whatever we had to do to get to this bottom pair of shoes in the middle. We were talking, and the woman, well, are they comfortable? And I went, yeah, I tried them out. They're pretty comfortable. And she went, well, let's see if we can find a size 6, which wasn't my size. She was looking for her. It ended up just being fun. It was fun, and it was so kind of them to take their time to do that. And I think we all had a good time. In the same shopping trip, I was looking at this big box of, we're back at Costco with big box of ham and cheese croissants that were frozen. And I thought, well, I wonder if these are good. Because they were on sale, but I'd have to invest in this big box. And this woman just came by and opened the door and grabbed a box of them and put them in her cart. And I said, oh, have you tried them? And she said, oh, yeah, they're really good. I really enjoy them. And this is how I prepare them. And this is how I serve them. This is Costco. I love these little mini friendships. They're micro friendships that you can have with random people. I don't even know if I'd recognize any of them if I saw them in Costco next week.
Right.
But we had a good connection. And it was positive looking through wisdom's window to see and expecting and finding good people.
That's a big difference. I love the everydayness of your examples, because we often think we have to, in order to really grow, we have to have huge things. And often it's all the small things that make your life meaningful and joyous.
Well, people think of miracles as being these huge things.
Right.
And they have been. But there are just little everyday things.
Right.
That are so special and wonderful. And sometimes feel like miracles.
Yeah.
I mean, I won't go as far as miracle on the boots, but kind of.
Well, it's just a sense of going, the world, I love my life and the life that I'm living and where I am. And that happens by a lot of the being in gratitude and appreciation. What you said was, if you see the world that way, the world becomes that way more.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So, I love that you talk about soul space, because you're in leadership and you've been with me in what I call the soul story course. And you had your first round of leading inside the soul story course. And I think that what we were doing was helping people. I would love your perspective to find that soul place in a sense.
Oh, absolutely.
So I would love for you to just share, since you're in InStory now, you're in InStory leadership, a little bit of how does this work align with what you're saying?
Well, it's number one, it is such a beautiful group of people that are drawn to your work. Because and being in the leadership, I've met more of them that are in your other courses, that are in your soul story course. And then the full year I spent initially in InStory. And now being in leadership, I've had the opportunity to meet so many wonderful people. And I have experienced such really, I feel, deep friendships and deep understanding with these people. And as they tell their stories, we learn so much. And I'm always good people who go, oh, I don't have stories to tell. They aren't very good. Or I can't write. I can't write good stories. Or I can't journal. And then you say, then we have them do it anyway. Just do it. And sometimes it's the people who doubt themselves the most who have the most beautiful stories to tell.
Oh.
They're letting them out for the first time. I've told a million stories, because I'm like that. But some of the people who feel least comfortable are holding the most beauty within them. And they get to experience it. They get to bring it out. And I think that's a wonderful thing. And that's what I've experienced.
Yeah.
Sitting here today.
Yeah. And I think one of the things, like what you say is so beautiful, Kay, is that we create this safe place. And when you tell your story to your tribe, you see, like I'm always saying, if it moves you, it will move your tribe. And what happens is they tell their story and we're so moved, right? Like, just like you're saying, we're so moved by their story, but they didn't know that and that they see it, right?
Yeah, something just flew right out of my mind, but it is so special. It
Right.
is so special. And we get to connect in a totally new way. And people tend to feel alone. That's what flew out of my head.
Right.
People tend to feel like they're so alone.
Yeah.
And I have one meditation that's you're not alone. But as we connect in your groups, and I've connected to other beautiful groups, you put yourself out there. I mean, this one has the closest relationships, I think. But you find out that you're not alone.
Mm-hmm.
There are a lot of beautiful people in this world. And sometimes, it's hard to see.
Right. Well, it's hard
And
to find each other.
yeah, and there are people in other tribes who don't understand you. Maybe they're good people. It doesn't mean they're bad people. But you need to, when you find your own tribe, people who understand you,
Yeah.
that's the best.
Yeah. It makes such a difference. And this whole summit community online thing, the fact that we can find each other, it's just an amazing thing. So I want them to be able to find you and dive in more with you. So tell us a little bit about your free gift, because I know what it is, but I'm not going to tell. But I know that it really is about how to go from this chaos to this calm. So tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah, well, these are four meditations, each one on a different topic. First one is Slumber Will Find You.
Say that again, is what?
Slumber will find you.
Slumber will
Slumber,
find you. Oh,
sleep.
like you can't sleep. I love these because they each one are dealing, they're guided meditations, right? Where you're guiding
Yes.
them to solve something that is part of what keeps us in chaos. So yeah, not being able to sleep, such a good one.
Oh, yeah, that one's about trying to get to sleep and how it's difficult if you're trying too hard. But and another one is you're not alone.
Mhm.
You are not alone. You may feel that sometimes. I feel that sometimes. We all do, maybe.
Mhm.
But when you get down to the reality, you are not.
Mhm.
And then let creativity flow. And that's so don't be hesitant. Just do whatever it is you do creative. Just do it. And it doesn't matter if it's good or bad. One quote I loved, it was on a mug I saw one time, and it said, creativity is giving yourself permission to make mistakes.
Mhm.
Art
Right.
is, art is knowing which ones to keep. It's fine because you have to be willing to make the mistakes to be creative. So that's just a little bit meditation about letting it flow. Let your creations out there, let them play, and see what they come up with. And another one is for hope in troubled times,
Mm.
because there is a lot of chaos in this world. We all live on this planet, and there are difficult and painful things going on, and we have to acknowledge that too. That we aren't just all, oh, everything's perfect. There are things we have to be concerned about. But there is hope in troubled times. And for me, a lot of that hope is the wonderful people
Mhm.
that
Yeah.
I know are here on this planet with me.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. And then you have a PDF that goes with it, right?
Yes, I have another PDF. It's 3 pages of calming activities.
Like what Kay did during her day to get the bridge from chaos to calm. You have a whole list of things. I just love that so much.
3 pages. Well, and I came up with some of them, and I know I put it in. I asked the women in InStory, hey, tell me yours. So I added other things from a lot of other people. And if you sign up, for my mailing list, you can contact me and tell me what yours are.
Yeah,
I can
that's
expand the list. And
right.
I do have a few more meditations kind of ready to go, but I haven't recorded them yet. So they'll be coming up soon, and they'll be on Insight Timer.
Good. So get the free gift and make that commitment to how can you improve your ability to get to that soul space, to get from chaos to calm. These are such simple and powerful tools that will make a difference. So get the free gift, get into Kay's world and reach out to her, let her know your thoughts, what you want to add to her list, what else, how did it help you? Because these connections really make such a difference. So, all right, before we wrap up, leave us with a couple last thoughts.
Well, yeah, please contact me. I love to connect with people, and I love to hear different people's points of view. So I'd like to meet anybody who's interested in meeting me. I'd be happy to see you. Maybe see you on Zoom or wherever. And yeah, just stay on that path. If you need, there's a bridge to cross. Sometimes there's a bridge to cross, and you can't just fly over. Sometimes, if you can, fly. But sometimes you need to cross the bridge to get to that soul space and do whatever it takes. So much love to everybody.
Really good. Thank you so much, Kay. And get the free gift. And then, as I always say in farewell, remember to go out in the world, share your story, live your purpose, and be a blessing. Bye, folks.